Good day, everybody, and welcome to MacDermid Enthone's webinar on REACH Authorization and Substitution Plan for Hexavalent Chromium in Europe. My name is Nadia Bille. I'm the Global R&D Special Project Manager and Academy Manager, and I will be the moderator for this event. Presenters of the sessions today are Dirk Wiedfolter, our Technical Project Manager, Strategic Accounts, and Mariola Brandes, Global Director of Decorative Systems. For today, they will explain to you the current situation on the REACH authorization for decorative chrome plating and etching of plastics, and have you informed about the substitution plan data gathering process in the EU market. If you have any questions, please submit them in the question box feature of this webinar session. We will keep circa 15 minutes at the end of the presentation to try and answer as many questions as possible. If we don't get to your question specifically, we will do our best to answer them via email. So thank you all for taking the time to attend this MacDermid Enthone session on REACH authorization and substitution plan for hexavalent chromium. I hope you all may take value from the session. And with that said, Dirk, Maya, the session is all yours.
Thank you, Nadia, for the welcome words. I also welcome to everyone to our webinar. I hope we will answer your question and make it more interesting, as this very actual and hot topic related to the REACH authorization and the topic related to decorative coatings and plating on plastics. The main of the presentation will be related to the first topic, as mentioned before, and I will just close this with a topic in Trivalent chrome and chrome-free edge. Welcome to the webinar, Dirk. I'm passing this to you now.
All right, thank you very much, Maya and Nadia, for the nice introduction. And I switch to my starting slide here. Brief introduction about me. My name is Dirk Wiedfolter. I'm the Global Technical Project Manager for the Global Strategic Accounts in our company. And my relation here to the REACH authorization is that I managed the authorization of hexavalent chrome for all users for MacDermid Enthone in the CTEC authorization, in the Chromium Trioxide Authorization Consortium. And in this consortium, I had the role of being the technical or the chairman of the technical committee. And today I also represent our company in the Chromium Trioxide Authorization Consortium, which is a work group that actually filed the application for authorization for 6 different users here. I'm very pleased to see so many customers here in this presentation, and I think it's a very important topic for the European market and for the different industries. The scope of this presentation here will cover the REACH authorization just for decorative chrome and etching of plastics. And we have seen that over the last years, while the market desperately waits for a decision on the authorization, our customers here have a huge demand for interpretation of that regulation, of the interpretation of the requirements that will come up in the future. They need guidance, what they need to do, what are the deadlines, and what are the requirements that they have to fulfill. All these things we try to answer here, not only with customer letters, also in the different customer seminars and paper presentations that we did, and I hope it adds value to you. So really a little funny introduction slide, why REACH drives so many people mad, and I think it's every time when you have something that's very difficult to understand, people don't get support or don't see a reason for it. It's becoming very difficult to accept these things. And just give you an idea why people are mad about that in the moment. That's simply to do with the complexity of reach. Give you an idea about that. The world's longest name that exists has about 27 words. Our latest reach customer letter that we send out to the market had about 284 words. The reach declaration from the company IKEA had about 423 words in total. The terms of service of Facebook, which is the biggest network in the world, has about 4,070 words. The book Around the World in 80 Days, that's something that probably happened in the future to us as well again, has about 63,759 words. The reach regulation has about 159,000 words in total. And that's the biggest piece of chemical legislation that exists in the world, and it's also the biggest change. And that's why there's a huge impact, not only on our plating industry, but on the whole chemical industry, as well as to customers, environment, products. It really changes the world we're living in. And that makes it very difficult for the individual to understand really what are the requirements, what really affects my business, and we try to give you here some explanation. So before we start, we want to let's say start with the definition of terms, because there will be some words you probably hear the first time or you heard before, and you need to understand what it means. Some of the words you will hear in the presentation. So the SVHC, that is the substance of very high concern, that covers basically all hazardous substances that are used or produced or imported into the European market. And it's the goal of the European Union to substitute and to replace all of these substances. Yeah, that's a political objective. And if the substance cannot be replaced by a different technology, there are some processes under REACH which allow you to continue with the substance. The term alternative means a safer and feasible substance or technology that can replace the use of a substance of very high concern. And it's very important to understand it's not only a different substance, it's also a different technology to produce a certain product with the same functional criteria. Yeah. Authorization. The REACH authorization is an approval process for specific uses of an SVHC substance which has no alternatives until the day an alternative has been developed and can replace the use of that SVHC substance here. The way to apply for authorizations are different. So the concepts that has been carried out in the past were upstream authorization. Upstream authorization means that an importer or supplier covers the whole supply chain by one upstream authorization. That means the importer or the manufacturer of the substance is the authorization holder, and all the downstream users which use the substance for the uses applied for are covered by this upstream umbrella authorization. The other model is the downstream user authorization that can be done by one or more downstream users to cover their own individual uses. And in this model, the supplier is not the authorization holder, it's the downstream user of the substance itself that holds the authorization. And there are positive and negative aspects on both models. CTAC and CTAC sub is the chromium trioxide authorization consortium, and that has been an industry work group which developed the authorization documents and then filed the application for authorization in an upstream authorization. So there are about 6 suppliers. 4 of them are manufacturers of chromium trioxide, 2 of them are formulators, which applied for an upstream authorization to cover the different supply chains by their authorization. And this decision is still pending. but we expect a decision on this in the near future. The European Chemical Agency is the European authority that implements REACH in the European Union, and which is responsible for that. And they report directly to the European Commission, and they are an important stakeholder here. So this is a legal the European authority, which is responsible to organize everything around that. And now the main subject for this presentation here is the substitution plan. It's a roadmap for the substitution of substances of very high concern for users where alternatives already exist. That is a very new requirement. And when you look at the CTEC and CTEC sub application for authorization, as I mentioned before, we have the importers and formulators that applied for an upstream authorization to cover the plating shops and also the OEMs under the umbrella authorization. They filed for different uses, and the plating shops are covered. So they filed for hard chrome, for decorative chrome, for conversion coatings. And one of these uses, the European Commission did not accept that the use is completely without alternatives. So for hard chrome, for example, there is a consensus that alternatives are not available in the moment. For decorative chrome and plating of plastics, the situation is a little different. So despite the fact that CTEC applied for authorization for all the uses, so for hard chrome, decorative chrome plating, etching of plastics, a decision will be done based on completely different requirements. The requirement for decorative chrome and plating of plastics is to develop a roadmap for the substitution of substances of very high concern where alternatives already exist. That is something that is ongoing right now. So the substitution plan is something that the authorization applicant has to develop and has to submit. In this case, it would be the responsibility of the members of the CTEC consortium. But the requirement is that the substitution plan is backed up with market information and with information from the downstream users. So it's not possible that that an upstream applicant puts a substitution plan together, which has absolutely nothing to do with the reality in the market, and submits it, and the European Commission would accept that. That's not possible. So the only way to get a valid and viable substitution plan is to ask the downstream users for their substitution strategy. The issue is that if the substitution plan is not submitted in that way and downstream user information do not feed into the substitution plan, the authorization will be rejected. So the applicants and the downstream user depend on each other in this situation here. And this is what I would like to elaborate a bit more in detail in the next slides. So some of our customers and also people in the market ask why authorization, why a substitution plan is necessary, why an authorization is necessary. Decision makers ask for it. And it's very simple to explain. Over the time when the authorization started, it was back in 2012, the success of hexachrome-free technologies was not so big like today. So in 2012, there was a consensus after a feasibility study that there is a demand for continuous use of hexachrome in the different uses of electroplating. And this demand led to a decision to develop an authorization document for hard chrome, decorative chrome, etching of plastics, etc. So over time, so since 2012, today's 2020, 8 years, there has been tremendous effort in R&D activities by us, also by suppliers of competitive technologies, with the objective to replace hexavalent chrome in these uses. And this is also, by the way, a legal requirement under REACH, yeah, for substances of very high concern. And the success of hexavalent chrome-free technologies increased. We have seen that. It also means that demand for authorization is going down step by step over time. In 2012, the demand was huge. The product offerings were smaller than today. And this situation, in our point of view, slightly changed here. Yeah? Therefore, we need to keep the authorization running for uses where alternatives do not exist. And in the same way, organize the replacement of hexavalent chrome in a very organized way and not in a chaotic way. And we believe the substitution plan is a very good tool for that. So the substitution plan under REACH, it's a new requirement for all new authorization decisions after a ruling of the European Court of Justice in 2019. It's a legal requirement when users are not free of alternatives. So for hard chrome, there is no substitution plan requirement. For POP deco applications, yes, there is a substitution plan requirement. The duty of the authorization applicant is to put this substitution plan together with downstream user information. So CTEC sub makes the substitution plan and customers have to feed in information. And that means for you in the market, for the downstream users, if you didn't do it up to now, you need to write down a substitution strategy and feed it into the authorization process of CTEC. There are two reasons for it. So if you have your own authorization already granted, feel free to ignore that. If your authorization is still pending and has not been decided yet, we highly recommend to you to participate. And if you don't have an own authorization application, please also participate in that substitution plan development and in the data gathering, which is currently ongoing. It is a REACH tool to facilitate the phase out of SVHC substances, and you have the possibility here to feed in your information, your point of view about alternatives, and it is a process where your voice will be heard by the European Commission in the end. And the next slide, I will tell you how it goes. So again, the time plan from the kickoff in May 2012 until today. So we are here in April 2020, and in March 2020, you better look on the right side here of the slide. In March 2020, the European Commission just asked CTEC to develop a substitution plan. That was the official invitation, or not invitation, the official request to submit a substitution plan with a certain deadline. And in April 2020, so last month, CTEC started a substitution plan survey. It was about 1 month later. It took quite a while, but CTEC had to understand what are the requirements for putting a proper substitution plan together, the requirements of the European Commission, and we need to build a tool or a process to gather information from the market, from the European market. Yeah. And that took quite a while. But the substitution plan survey just started recently, and there will be a deadline which ends during this week. And please be aware of that, that you don't miss it. The process of the substitution plan data gathering is described here. So what you see here are the different levels of the supply chain. You have the customers, our customers, which are the downstream users. You have the CTEC sub members, which is bottom up, the CTEC sub members, which is MacDermid Enthone and other companies. Another partner of CTEC is the CTEC sub manager or the CTEC sub lawyer, which is a company Jones Day in Brussels. It's all managed by Mrs. Ursula Schließner since 2012, which is doing a very good job here for us. And we have a technical consultant, which supports the CTEC consortium in the data gathering process, because even under REACH and even in this authorization process, absolutely illegal to share information between the members here, and also get access to sensitive market information from the downstream users that has to be neutralized, collected by a technical consultant and neutralized here to comply with competition laws. So this is CTEC, and then we have the authorities, which in the end make the decision. So what has been started now is the Substitution Plan survey. And the Substitution Plan survey has a deadline, 15th of May 2020. So this is the end of the week where this deadline expires. And the deadline is important for all customers and downstream users. And we kindly invite you here to participate in that survey and feed in your information, because you will get, after that, a certificate. So what happens here is that the PUP-DECO customers feed in their substitution strategy into the Substitution Plan survey. This information then will be handled by the CTEC sub consultant. And once the survey has been completed, sometimes with the support of MacDermid Enthone, the certificate for completion will be submitted to the customer, to the PUP-DECO customer or downstream user. Yeah. So the customer feeds in information to the survey and will receive a certificate after the completion from the CTEC sub consultant. The certificate will be then has to be submitted to the direct supplier. That's very much simplified here, but you don't need to send it back to CTEC, but to your direct supplier. And your direct supplier will then transfer that certificate to the upstream supply chain. And with its certificate, you can prove that you joined the Substitution Plan survey and that you have a continued interest in using Hexavalent Chrome. You demonstrate that you have a substitution strategy for your own company. And if you don't participate, there is no certification. And that means that the CTEC sub importers will not continue to supply chromic acid to these companies which did not participate. Yeah. So the certificate after completion is basically a license to continue to use Hexavalent Chrome until the authorization is granted and until the next review date comes. Yeah, that's basically the condition here. And that is a system to encourage the market to participate as much as possible in that data gathering. So after the 15th of May, the CTEC sub consultant will write a draft substitution plan that will be after 15th of May, and we'll submit it to our CTEC sub lawyer. The CTEC sub lawyer will make a check if everything is compliant, if there's no information inside which is sensitive, yeah, because we're not allowed to make the supply chain transparent here, and also individual company strategies transparent. That has to be avoided, so that will be checked. If it's okay, I think also the CTEC sub members will get access to it, and if they agree on that, it will be approved and it will be submitted to the European Commission before the 24th of August. The 24th of August is the current deadline for submitting the substitution plan, and this deadline yeah, is very tight because there is a lot of there are a lot of holidays in between, so it looks like a long time, but it's not. It's very short, and we monitor the situation here. If the time is enough, the European Commission said they would be open to talk with us about an extension, but in this moment we absolutely don't see a need for it because the feedback of information has been quite good up to now, but it's still not completed by everyone. So this approved substitution plan will submit it to the European Commission. The European Commission will draft a final decision for the authorization of plating on plastics and decorative chrome, and will get an approval from the member state committee. And they will then finally decide about the authorization of PUP deco. Yeah, and that's very much, the decision process here is very much simplified, I have to say. But this is basically how it works. What is important for you here is to understand that you need to participate in the survey by the end of May. By the end of the week on the 15th of May. That's a very important deadline for our customers. So please put it in your calendar. Please talk to your managing directors in the company. Put this on the agenda for this week. It is quite important for your business, because if you miss that, very likely the chromic acid suppliers will not supply you with chromium trioxide after the deadlines here. So that's why it's so important for you. Okay. There is a short guidance about the substitution plan survey for our customers. So what do you need to do? Very briefly, you need to register. Here is a link to the registration, to the survey registration. You can also get this from our salespeople here, from our account managers, which are directly responsible for you. They have received this guidance and they are happy to share that with you. You receive a link to the questionnaire by email from Rumble Environ, your personal link. Then you can see the webinar and support documents. So it's a webinar which explains how you fill out the questionnaire, which questions has to be answered. That is available in 5 different languages, and support documents as well. So here's a link to these webinars, freely available to you. Then you complete the questionnaire, and after you completed the last page, there is a button where you can create a PDF of your questionnaire. So please create a PDF for your own records and make sure that you completed it in the right way, that there are no technical problems. We have seen that some customers had technical problems. So the questionnaire arrived at Rumble, but without any content, for example, or customers didn't receive, didn't see the last slide, the completion slide. You will not get a confirmation email. Yeah, but if you have doubts that your information are submitted correctly, you can also talk to us, and we will contact Rumble and clarify that within a short period of time. And after that, the last step is to receive the substitution plan certificate from Rumble, submit it to your direct chromium trioxide supplier. So not to us. Yeah, if we are not the supplier, you don't submit it to us, you submit it to your chromium trioxide supplier. If it's MacDermid Enthone, you submit it to MacDermid Enthone. If it's not MacDermid Enthone, you submit it to someone else who is your supplier. But you need to submit it to your direct chromium trioxide supplier. And yeah, to ensure that you are supplied also in the future. That's important. The substitution plan checklist for our customers. So what is the content of the questionnaire? What questions you need to answer? So you need to define the users, the end users, the annual tonnages in tons of dry chromic acid or chromium trioxide per year, the name of the producer and supplier of chromium trioxide. So it's basically the producer itself. So it's not your direct supplier, the name of the distributor, it's the name of the producer of the chromium trioxide. This is what is important. So what has been or will be the reduction of chromium trioxide in tonnages by substitution? You name your alternative technologies, which are commercially available to you. Brand names are preferred. You need to put in a substitution roadmap. So what is your R&D status? What is your plan, if you have any? and justification not to change if you don't see any alternatives available. So Rumble would send the certificate after a completion, independent of the content, yeah, independent of the size of the content. So just fill out the questionnaire as good as you can, and you will get a certification. If there are any questions coming up later, you will get an email from Rumble. But for the certification, it's not important how detailed the content of your answers is. Okay, that's a very important note for you. So don't hesitate to fill it out, even if your substitution plan is quite brief. Put it in anyway by the 15th of May. And an important question that came from our customers: does a substitution plan mean I have to stop using Hexchrome before 24th of August 2020? The substitution plan here is just about collecting data on substitution activities in Europe. It doesn't mean customers have to switch until the substitution plan deadline. That's not the intention here. Yeah, but it's to set up a plan for different uses where substitution is possible and where not, to really define the requirements and potential substitution dates. I think this is what the European Commission asked for here. Customers, they have to decide individually if a substitution is possible and how long it may take, and you need to put this into the substitution plan. But anyway, using a feasible alternative makes the authorization unnecessary and your business more sustainable. Yeah, you've seen that the authorization is a long process. It takes a lot of planning security, and there has been a lot of development to replace the substance from the market. So we are here, we are your partner to help you with that wherever we can, and try to make your business more sustainable. That's our intention here. So our intention is not to continue with Hexavalent Chrome by the end of the days, but also develop a solution that is an electroplating solution, an Hexavalent Chrome free, and which makes Chrome finishes available to the market in every place in the world. And that's our intention here. And with that last slide, I finish my presentation. And if you have any questions, as Nadia said in the beginning, send it to us, or we answer it later on. And I would like to hand over to Maya Brandes, who will speak a bit more in detail about our decorative coatings roadmap. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dirk. Based on the substitution plan and the timeline which is coming up, which was presented by Dirk, of course, and based on your questions related to our portfolio, I prepared a short summary to available processes, for example, for Trivalent Chrome decorative finish. We know that sustainability is a very important topic for our business as well for our future. So based on this, on the next slide, I would like to show you the available Trivalent Chrome processes. Everybody knows that in our portfolio, we have chloride as well as sulfate-based Trivalent chromiums. This is, of course, is important for which OEM and which specification you have to fulfill and you work for. Based on that, we also, of course, we are providing a Chrome 6-free post-tip. We have a portfolio from white to dark decorative finishes, including with conjunction to our satin finishes, bright or matte colors. Of course, we know we have to fulfill with our portfolio the specifications on the OEMs. So here we are talking about CAS and Russian matte performance and others. The list of approvals is, of course, available on our website. However, based on that, I would like to show you by the next slide the portfolio related to Trivalent Chrome. We know we have the Flash SF, which is sulfate-based Trivalent Chrome, with the L value between 80 to 82, with the B value by 0.7 to 1.2. The Flash SF is followed by Flash CL, which is a little bit darker color, chloride-based, where the L value is around 78 to 80. After Flush CL, the next color which is coming up is our Twilight, well known on the market, where the L value is 64 to 69. However, the darker finish is our Starlight, which is sulfate-based trivalent chrome with L value by 62, 65. The darkest trivalent chrome what is available at the moment in our portfolio is our Trimac Eclipse, which you see already here, the L value showing 43 to 46. Of course, all of the trivalent chromes are using our Chrome 6 free post-tip, our Trilight CP 3000, which is available as well, very well known on the market. Okay. Followed by the portfolio, you will see also on the next slide. Dirk. Our roadmap related to Chrome Free Edge process and the implementation of the product or process to the market. As you see, we are ready by phase 3 and 4 related to the implementation and tests, where it is very important to work together with the customers as well with the plastic suppliers, rack coating suppliers, as well with the OEMs. When we are looking here to the phase 3, we are finalized the first step of our R&D work related to ABS material. But of course, we have implementation to the customers and the product lines, as well tier ones, but this is not finalized. And everybody know we're competing here with our standard Chrome Edge. And as you see in the phase 4, when we follow our also substitution plan, the timeline is C20, 20, 2023, independent to the regulation and changes. However, the plan is to finalize the R&D development, to modify and adjust the process based on the needs on the market as well as specifications. We also looking here in the phase 4, which is very important, to continue the work with the customers, with the tier ones and OEMs, as well to continue our running productions and start new project and processes. Very important is also, and last but not least, to get approvals together with our customers to be sure we can satisfy the market with sustainable, responsible product and process. Based on that, I hope we can show you today a short summary of our portfolio as well our roadmap and the substitution plan and action which have to be done. As mentioned today a few times, the sustainability for our business is a very important topic for all of us, not only for the supplier, but also for the applicator. And based on this, I finish my part and I'm passing over to Nadia.
Thank you, Maya. Thank you, Dirk.